purchases, point of sales, point of purchase actually works out very well. So even if you are trying to sell something which is a car, that is not a bad place to place a product. That is not. Even if you are trying to sell a car. Mobile phones, yes. In a lot of cases, what happens in these categories? You have too many options, right? When you have a lot of options, then obviously you are a little confused. You are least confused when the activity you have to do to actually make the sale is very low. Online selling, whenever they're trying to upsell, point of sales and point of purchase becomes active over there, the online version of it, right? So there are add-ons which they try to sell right at the point when you are going to click. All those people who bought this also bought these, and these. So people who saw this bought this.
For example, when you buy a car and they say, okay, fine, these are the accessories which you should take.
Yeah.
You can try it, but is that
A certain class of that will come in. Now, suppose you sit down at the cashier's place and the cashier asks you, oh, do you think you would like to buy this also? Or a display of the Blopung system next to the cashier is an example of that.
Croma puts all these pen drives and all these items right at the
Exactly.
all these small items.
Completely.
At the end, when you are actually for the children's part,
Okay.
they have the
yeah, they give
chocolates and
chocolates there.
Yes. I would like to emphasize though, I'm not just talking about product placement over here. What I'm also talking about is all kinds of signages, all kinds of offer, all those are also included in this. Banners, posters, everything else. Sampling, big one, if you're in food. We all know about the fact that if it is a service, you really don't know the quality of the service till you actually. Perfumes. Free gifts, we know what those are, and we know how purchases are driven by that. We know how our 2-year-old kids even understand that there is one tattoo free with one chocolate somewhere, and that is the only reason they have to buy that chocolate. So that happens, and very early on we are conditioned to look at things which are free, even if they don't understand the concept of money, even if they don't understand the concept of who is paying for it and why is somebody paying for it. They'll understand that there's something free and they have to go for that. Completely. They're exploiting us actually. Yeah. You know, what is this? And first time I saw it, oh my God, this is nice looking chocolate. What is this? How did this come out of this? Somebody should put somebody in jail for that, but unfortunately we don't make those calls.
even McDonald's uses the Happy Meal.
Then you ask for the what is the choice and ultimately see what's the point of taking this.
My flight leaves at 6 o'clock in the morning. My son has called me up that if you land up without a Happy Meal because we don't have a McDonald's at home, then please find some other flight. So I'm trying to figure out some way of getting that to happen. So tie-ins is another very important factor of how you go ahead with trying to sell your product. Very important for entrepreneurs. You are new. What do? You find somebody else who's willing to sort of give you an offer to join up with them and sell it together. If you are in the business of selling shampoo, probably you won't mind tying up with somebody else who's trying to sell just a soap. Of course, you can sometimes go crazy and try to sell a shampoo with somebody who's trying to sell a Mobike, but that's a different matter. A lot of other kinds of tie-ins. Whenever you look at online marketplaces, you have a lot of exchange of links, exchange of banner ads, and a lot of tie-ins of various products happen online also, where you have certain sites promoting certain other products. All that happens. So tie-ins are a very important way you go ahead. I really don't mind tying in as long as it does not negatively affect my brand image. So that is a very good option for you to go ahead with. Tie-ins is a good one.
Same bundling or it's different?
No, bundling is a little different. Bundling is with your own products. When you're doing it with somebody else's products, then it's going to be a tie-in. And bundling is primarily to tie in, let's say, different willingnesses to pay. You are collating different willingnesses to pay and trying to present a product which makes sense to both. Here it's a different matter. Yeah.
When you usually go for buying a television plasma nowadays, they give you a subscription for DTH, which is video
Yep,
call.
yep.
So that's something like a time.
Completely.
But then when you're talking about annual subscription, they're just giving it free. So when
Yes.
these companies go in for time, do they really have some kind of agreement where they charge the other company for that?
Yes, there is a small amount they would be charging. Yeah. I mean, all the mobile tie-ins,
Right.
a very small amount. Yeah.
The big ones they actually give a free top up if you buy
Yeah.
something and
Yes.
have a membership.
Yeah.
Fill it up, they give you for
That's
every-
320
Yes.
talk time, right?
Yeah, they
That's
give you
their
some
own,
talk time.
but that's their own home brand. This is it, two different companies tying up together.
You see, another example of the same is when you look at the mobile companies who are going for the times, usually the model is around 60% of the cost
Right.
is what is going to be taken off.
Okay.
Usually that is what they end up doing. I was just trying to recall the figures.
Exactly, could be Citibank cards and all the restaurants that they have.
If you look at the SME space, there are going to be a lot of tie-ins. In the B2B space also there are a lot of tie-ins. You just have to go online and you'll see how there is somebody who's trying to sell metal products in Bhatinda who has tied up with somebody else who's selling something out of Lucknow. There are a lot of tie-ins. This happens very frequently. Trade promotions are very important. Can be organized trade shows, seminars, can also be various promotions which you carry out in your channel. For example, you can have a competition. If you are in the business of selling combs, best display. Take a photograph and send it to me.
Nice.
This is a kind of promotion that you can have. Have a competition which is thrown open only to your channel. Nice way of keeping them involved. Do not call them for a dealer meet anymore. Unless there is Amitabh Bachchan showing up at the dealer meet, there's no reason to actually call them for a dealer meet. So there's actually no major, yeah. There are too many other ways of doing that now. Another article which you have access to is the sales learning curve. Says a lot of things. Primarily over here is we know what is the production learning curve, right? Early on, it's more expensive to produce. Later on, it is less expensive to produce. Similarly, over here, when you're talking about the learning curve as far as sales is concerned, early days, it is more difficult to make sales, more expensive to make sales, you make fewer sales. So, overall, your ROI is going to be much lower in the early days than in the later days. Moral of the story, hang around, things are going to get easier. I'll just show it to you graphically so that it makes a little bit more sense. Early days, later days. Combining all the three, look at this. What is the moral of the story? What do you do? What is the lesson from here? What do you want to do?
More sales for the later stages.
Exactly. So don't have too many people loaded on early. Even if you're a small company, look at having, if you need about 10 people, hire only 4. If you need about 2 people, also hire about 3. That's also another thing. Because you need to find out what works and what does not work. Right? So don't hire too many people. Don't have ambitious sales targets set very early. Sales means there are targets. Do not have a target based on the number of products sold. Have different kinds of targets early on. Look at how many people have they contacted. What has been the feedback which has been collected. Do not have bonuses being thrown around for high sales very early on. It might actually be counterproductive. If they are making sales, they might be promising things which are very wrong. Right? During my KPO days in Gurgaon, there are a lot of these guys who land up from the US. They hear great stories about Indians operating call centers in Gurgaon and generating huge sales. So somebody will come in and will be selling a mixer grinder or something like that, and they'll say, okay, we have a calling list. There are 10,000 people in our calling list. We'll put it up on your server, and every sale you make, you're going to get about $10 for it. Great stuff. So there will be a lot of small call centers who will end up making those calls. They'll say, hello, we have a mixer grinder over here. If you buy the mixer grinder, there will be a TV free with it in another month. So if you buy it right now, the TV will be coming to you in just a month. So can I have your credit card details? Can I have this detail and all that? Now another dangerous thing which they do is calling up from the police station. Has your credit card been stolen? Is this your number? So, no. Okay, then how was this assigned to you? Then that guy will get very frustrated, give the credit card number, they'll make the sale. Yes, exactly. So these are the kind of things on the extreme level which can end up happening to you. Smaller things can end up happening. Somebody will overpromise on the service of a product. Somebody will overpromise on the performance of the product. So let's avoid these in the early days. Yeah.
In the insurance sector, this is the only way whereby we can, we have the entire package design whereby there is only on the number of policies sold.
Absolutely. What I'm trying to say is it doesn't make sense for a small enterprise to go with that. You end up spoiling your entire market if you do it very early on. So for the first stage of your evolution, don't do that. Second stage of your evolution, after you have probably reached the traction point, or even maybe a little before that, then you start off.
Okay, for example, let's take example of that Perfect Healthcare, whatever we
Yeah.
discussed.
Yes.
In that case, the sales force, the number was just 4.
Yeah.
I mean, what's our take on the sales force? I mean, I was of the opinion that 4 could have been 6 or 7.
Yes. I think it was good if they had 4 in 2009. Having 4 in 2012 was probably delaying things a little too much, right? Also my take on it. You have already achieved a sort of traction. You are selling 35 machines. Last year you sold 35 machines, right? Usko बढ़ाया नहीं है. Why haven't you increased your sales force? Of course, that did not come out in the discussion, and that was not relevant to the discussion the way we carried out. But yes, that was a concern over there. Early days, have a small sales force. Then you learn from what they have learned and increase it. Also, very importantly, do not give them sales-based targets early. What you need to know is feedback from the customer. That should be objective. Has the communication been done well in the first few days? Take that to increase your sales in the next round.
But how is that relevant?
Relevant?
I mean, as an entrepreneur, you want to drive the revenues in, right?
Exactly.
If you are going to communicate to the sales force that maybe revenues can come later, be looking at more of building the
No.
base of customers.
No. Let's look at how you're going to drive it. If you look at a typical sales team, the drive is a little too much on sales. If you say that you died today, that is not enough of an excuse for you not having made sales. Right? We won't want that. We won't want that kind of an accent on sales. Make sure that there's not these huge bonuses which make up 50% or 75% of your salary if you make those sales. Start off early. Get them to learn. What have they learned? Let them share with others. So that is the accent in the early days. Once you have learned from what works and what does not work, you start scaling it up. Otherwise, you're going to scale up the wrong things, right? If what works is promising a TV for every mixer that you have sold, that is what the rest of the sales force is also going to learn. So that is what you want to avoid. So make sure you have the, you can say the entire account done right, then you expand it.
That means your first initial time,
Yeah.
you typically entrepreneurs start off with I'll sell 100 products in Q1 or
Yes.
so let's
Yes.
say Q1 100 products.
Yes.
So then you might not end up selling those 100 products at all.
Yes.
So maybe your target itself should probably be 70s or 50s.
Exactly. You look at the way time and sales are progressing over here. This is the ideal way for it to progress. It goes slow, then it picks up.
Rajiv, will this help in retail stores in a complex?
For example, sorry.
Say a cloth store coming up,
Yeah.
like a Pantaloon or whatever it is.
Yes.
So suddenly it happened in Salem 2 months back. We have Spencer's, Nilgiris and all that stuff. One guy who was a major player for last 10 years, he closed the office. And Spencer's and Nilgiris only have people go there because that departmental store is rushed.
Okay.
And that is everywhere in all the cities in Tamil Nadu now, Coimbatore, everywhere.
Okay.
Kannan departmental store, he came up with the thing. 2.5 months I am not able even to enter the mall. So he has so many people there, like how do you say about this?
He has a huge number of people on board. That's the problem, or he has a huge number of customers on board.
Customers as well as offers as well as salespeople.
See, there are a lot of people who have tried out things which have worked, which have not worked. And in most cases, if you are going to scale up too fast, for an entrepreneur, it's not going to be good. There is something which I refer to a lot, which is the Startup Genome Project, which is basically an article which talks about what works for entrepreneurs and what does not. One of the major mistakes that entrepreneurs end up making is when they scale up a little too fast before they have actually proven what works and what does not work. This applies not only to the business model but also to the way you make your sales pitch, right? So if you have a sales pitch which does not work, which might be under promising, over promising, whatever it is, and you scale that up, you're likely to get into a lot of problems. You are a very delicate organism as a young enterprise. You don't want to compromise your existence by actually starting to do something which you really don't know whether it works or not. Basically taking a toss of the coin and hoping that things work out right.
But
So you don't want to do
already
that.
into business like that 15-20 years.
He has tried it out.
Bigger complex.
Absolutely, that is fine. This is an enterprise which is well established. It has figured out, it has good connect with the customers. It knows what the customers want. It has processes which have been developed on what works and what does not work, and that is what they are trying out.
The other thing is that in the south, when you're talking about sales force, I mean they're just swarming, okay, and this seems like a trend. And last year I'd gone to a couple of places, so everywhere you go there are more salespeople than
Yeah,
customers.
even
That's a
Naida,
trend.
Naidu Hall and all like this.
That's a trend, I think. So all companies.
Hopefully shut down.
Would you essentially say, based on all the slides that you showed,
Yeah.
that in the beginning, sales is important for any company?
Sales is
They've
important.
got to sell, they've got to
Yes,
sell.
yes.
But only thing is that in the beginning, if you keep sales as the target alone,
Yes.
then you